But the end of the book, the end of the book, the end of this book. Hello. Happy March. Hi, book besties. I feel weird saying book besties. I feel like that's somebody else's line. Hi, book lovers. Hello, fellow readers. I don't know. I don't know. But even though I don't know, how cute are my earrings? I don't think you can even see them. But I know Black History Month is officially done. But I was gonna film this video yesterday, but I was too tired and I fell asleep. So I'm filming it today. And in honor of Black History Month being just done, I have my cute little earrings. Anyway, let's talk about the 11 books that I read in February. I was not expecting to read so many books, but here we are. Reading is definitely escapism for me, and yeah, it's been a journey because I'm just like, all right. Uh, anyway, let's talk about it. I want this video to be quick. I don't want it to be too long because I actually want to film a spring TBR right after this. So it was like the sun is out, but it's so dark and gloomy out. So I had to shed my blinds and turn on lights. So I am sweating in my own apartment. I carry my little fan with me everywhere I go. You probably can't hear me because the fan is right here, but I wanted to wear my cute little sweater. It's pink and it says take me to the bookstore. And I wanted to wear it. I'm just glowing. It's okay. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. Did you just hear my hand crack? Jeez. The first book I read was Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This was a fun read. This was the second book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and Pip was back at it again with her teenage mystery detective shenanigans, and she solved another case in the town. Pip and Ravi are so freaking cute, and yeah, I know my copy of this book is very beat up, but that's what I get for getting it at the thrift store. I'm so excited. I want to read the third book so that I can watch the Netflix series, but because I don't want any spoilers. I don't know if the series goes into any details about the third book, but I want to finish this first before I get into that. This was the first book I read. I rated it 5 out of 5. Next up in February, forgot the month we're in. Oh my goodness. Next up in February, I read The Christmas Guest by Peter Swanson. This was a very short Christmas little thriller. It left me thinking at the end who was the ghost and who wasn't. It was a fun little read, and I'm officially done with the Christmas reads. I thought I was done in January, but I saw it and I was like, okay. Next up, I read The Crash by Frida McFadden. Let me tell you something. I am a Frida McFadden stan. I will read anything Frida McFadden puts out. So I read The Crash by Frida McFadden and I loved it. I feel like I was gonna psych y'all out and be like, I hated it. No, I actually loved it. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm trying to remember Tegan, right? She's pregnant. She's 8 months pregnant, and I forget where she was going to, but she gets stuck in a she gets stuck in a snowstorm, can't drive, can't move. This random dude, like big burly dude if I'm not mistaken, like comes around, saves her because she's stuck in the snowstorm, takes her back to his house with him and his wife, and his wife is like, oh, I'll take care of you, and like kind of locks her up in their basement. But like his wife is a former nurse. Also, why am I like constantly reading books about nurses? Anyway, but his wife is a former nurse, so she's like taking care of her because her leg is broken. Tegan thinks the husband is like locking her up and like abusing his wife, and the wife is also like, is that what you think? Is that what's going on? So she doesn't know what's going on, and it gets crazy. And there's a neighbor. It was insane. I rated it 4 stars. I liked the book. I had a fun time reading it. I kind of saw the twist coming because it was told from 2 perspectives, and that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, we're moving on. Next in February, I read King's Cage by Victoria Aveyard. This is book 3 in the Red Queen series, and I loved this book. Oh my goodness. What did I say? I said, I knew I liked Evangeline. She and Elaine are so cute. It makes sense why she didn't care that Maven got engaged to Iris. Also, the end broke my heart. I knew if given the chance, Cal would choose the throne, but I can't believe he did so quickly. I'm gonna cut that out. But in this book, I start getting more info on my favorite character. Her name's Evangeline in this series. Like Mare, Cal, don't care. Don't care about them at all. Just kidding, I care about them. But like Evangeline and her sass and her attitude and I love her so much. Anyway, so we started getting more about her, but Mare is prisoner in the throne because Maven, anyway, like you got to read more, you got to read the series to like understand what's going on. But I like, this was a fun time. I rated it 4.5 stars. I loved it. At the end, I was so heartbroken, and I was like, I need to get to the next book, which I did fairly soon after that. But yeah, I love this book. I love the series. I finished it, so I'm going to talk about the fourth book here in a little bit, but I loved it so much. Next up, I read The Honeymoon Crashers by Christina Lauren. I read The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Loved that book last year. And it's the twin sisters, Amy and what is her name? I have notes on my computer, by the way. That is what I'm looking at over here. But also, this was just an audiobook. So like I was on Libby and it's just an audiobook. Anyway, this is about the twin sister who got married and divorced because her husband was an absolute douchebag, and she falls for her now sister's fiance's friend. It's a whole thing. Either way, Amy is the sister, and she's a fun time, and she has a fun time. It's like a frenemies to lovers thing. It was really cute. I don't know why I'm rambling, so I'm gonna move on. It was a really short audio book, and yeah. Next up, I was doing a what I read in a week video. I was like halfway through this book and halfway through another, but I finished War Storm, the final book in the Red Queen series. This was a 5 out of 5. I love Evangeline. That's all I have to say. Like, I will reread this series, just so, also the fact that this is just glaring. Oh my goodness. I will reread this series. Like, I will sell my soul to read this again so I can see what Evangeline does again. Like, the end of this book made me so happy because like everything was like wrapped up really nicely. Obviously, it's the final book in the series, but like I was so happy. She gets to be happy. Mare and Cal, they were pissed at each other for a lot of this book because of how King's Cage ended. Mare and Cal were just like not happy, and Maven was, I don't want to spoil anything, but this book made me so happy. This was a 5 out of 5 read. I'm also very generous with my 5 stars, but like this, I enjoyed Evangeline's story, so this was a 5 out of 5 read. Okay. Next up, during that same week, I read or finished Ask for Andrea by Noelle Ely. This was weird because they're ghosts. The girls are dead and they're ghosts. One of them is haunting the dude who killed her and trying to like get him to know that she's haunting him, but he doesn't because she's a ghost. It was a weird book to read. This book, I honestly probably started in 2024. I've been reading it when I'm at doctor's appointments. Also, the plane that is flying outside, how rude. Anyway, I have been reading it when I go to my doctor's appointment. So I will read like a couple chapters. When I'm at my allergy shots, you wait in between your allergy shots. So I would read a few chapters at a time. But I just like, I wanted to finish it. I wanted to get it over with. One, so I could talk about it with my friend Rachel, but two, because like I don't spend so long on books typically. So yeah, it was a fun time. I rated it 4 stars. I feel like if I had finished it all at once, it would have probably been like 4.5, 4.75 stars. I love the ending because it broke my heart, but I loved it. And it was like, again, like a paranormal thriller. And I definitely want to read more books by the same author because I saw Larry on YouTube, on BookTube, and she was talking about reading, I think it's Run on Red by the same author, and I think she said she loved it. I don't really remember. Sometimes I play videos in the background and they're just in the background, but I think she said she loved it, so I want to read that. I'm fairly certain it's on Kindle Unlimited because I got Ask for Andrea on Kindle Unlimited, so if it is, I'm going to try to pick it up again, probably during spooky season, like in the fall time, because springtime I want to read springy books. Next up in February, I read Children of Fallen Gods, which is book 2 by Carissa Broadbent in the Daughter of No World series. I think I am becoming obsessed with Carissa Broadbent. This is the second book that I read by Carissa Broadbent, and I want to read more. I want to finish the series like right now. This almost made me cry. I said, OMG, Max learning Tasana's language so he can speak to her in her tongue. If that is not like number one book boyfriend behavior, excuse me. He learned her language so he could talk to her because she didn't speak his language very well. So he's been teaching her his language. I'm literally like kicking my feet, screaming. I was kicking my feet, screaming during that scene. Anyway, there was so much happening in this book, right? So at the end of book 1, she made a blood pact, right? That she would fight in this war. So there was a lot of fighting in this book. There was a lot of like world stuff. Max, who is again grumpy, like don't care about the world, just leave me alone. He found someone to fight for, so he joined the war because he found his person to fight for. First of all, there was just a lot going on. The magic system, like I was very confused in the first book about like the magic system, and they explain a little bit more in book 2, which makes a lot more sense in book 2. But Nira, and like, she pissed me off. I understood where she was coming from. Like, I understand where she's coming from, but like, she pissed me off. The betrayals, the lies. This book was so good. I rated it 4 stars because I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I was pissed off. So it got 4 stars, but I'm excited for the next book in the series. Next up, I finally read the 3rd book in this series. I read A Long Time Coming, and So Not Meant to Be pissed me off. I think I talked about this in my 2024 book review of all the books I read in 2024. That book pissed me off. That was book 2, what's her name? I don't even remember her name because she pissed me off. The female main character in that book, and JP, the male main character, saved it. But I was nervous because I did not want it to be like basically that part 2. But this is best friends to lovers, like best friends since college to lovers, and they have basically lived their whole lives since college. Like they are literal neighbors. And she's getting married. She just got engaged. She's gonna get married. And he's like, no, everything's gonna change. And then he realizes he falls first. Well, I feel like they both fell for each other because she was definitely thinking, and he was like, oh. And of course his brothers is like, we told you so, you were in love with her this entire time. And like, it was so cute. It was so cute. And the spice was spicy. And like, he was just like, well, I love this book so much. Like, I want to reread it so badly. Like, I want to erase my memory so I can read it again because it was so cute. A long time coming. It was definitely a long time coming that I read this book, and I'm glad I did. And this has put me into the I want romances. I want to read romance books and only romance books. So I can't wait for summer. I can't wait for spring and summer because this is the vibe I want. It's this. I just want like fun, the banter, the jokes. Oh my goodness. I 5 out of 5. Oh my goodness. After that, these are the last 2 books that I read. I read Reckless, and I'm just gonna show this because I read Reckless first and then I read Powerful because I knew that like this is a connection of book 1, right? This is like different POV of book 1, but this was book 2, and this was, I would say, a 4 out of 5. Adina and Mac, I loved their story. I loved it. And of course, it was really sad because of how it ended, but we already know how it ended because of Powerless, but I'm gonna set that down. But Reckless, what the heck? This is what I said. What the heck? Literally, what the heck? First of all, the fact that they're enemies to lovers, I love that. Well, they were made enemies by the end of Powerless because Peyton killed the king for killing her father. Right after that, blah, blah, blah. And then Kai was sent to find her and kill her or bring her back because his brother, Kit, is like, your job as enforcer is to go find this girl who killed dad, who killed the king, and bring her back so I can punish her. So he's on this quest, of course, to find her, and she keeps escaping him because she is very crafty like that. We know, like, we freaking love her, and she is a crafty gal, and she keeps escaping him, and she's got, of course, like people in the resistance. Is the resistance, rebellion, whatever? See, Red Queen and this like merge in my head, but I'm just like, it was so cute. I rated it a 5 out of 5. I loved it. I'm very generous with my book ratings. I'm gonna say that again because if I have a good time and I like the end of the book, it's getting 5. I love it. Like, that's it. But the end of the book. The end of this book. Lauren Roberts, we need to talk. Also, Fearless needs to come out like now because I'm not going to say what happened at the end of the book. But anyway, those were the books that I read in January. I feel like it was a really good reading month. Did I say January? I meant February. Those are the books that I read in February. It was a really good reading month. I am back to work full time, so I've been working full time. I feel like making time for my hobby and making time to actually read and enjoy the books that I'm reading has been something that I've been trying to do, like actually trying to do now, because if it's up to me, I would literally just go to work, come home, watch TV and sleep. And then on my days days off, I would literally just be a couch potato and do nothing. But I've been trying to like, and this might be good or bad, but I've been trying to actually like get out of the house on my days off, which means I would go to Goodwill and I would look for books, and here we are. I don't know. I've just been enjoying reading. I've been enjoying like being in my apartment, surrounded by books and reading, and just like straight up escaping life right now. Anyway, I'm curious to know what books you read in the month of February. I'm curious to know what your favorite book was that you read in the month of February. I'm curious to know if you read any of the books that I read this month, because I had a great time. Most of them were 4s and 5 stars, you know. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video, which I am about to film right now, which is going to be my March, April, spring TBR. So I will see you in that video. Thanks. Bye-bye.